So we're going to end up this evening with a project which started as an idea, it turned into a feature, then a product, and it may become a vision in a company. So we're going to see, and there's going to be half jokes in the presentation, so don't trust everything you see here. We're going to see what we're going to talk about. So first, let's talk about the team. We have a dream team here. So we've got myself, CEO. Actually, I would prefer to be a chairman, because usually the chairman don't do anything. The CEO is doing the job. Then we have Selma, who's in the jury, so she's upstairs. She's going to be our Chief Marketing Officer. We have Quentin, here over there, Chief Technical Officer. We have Guillaume Champeau. Where is Guillaume? Guillaume, how are you? So, you know what's a CDO? A CDO is a Chief Design Officer. And we have Alexandre Zobel from Paris. And he's going to be our UXO. You know what's a UXO? It's a User Experience Officer. So we have a full board in the company. We're probably going to have soon a board, an advisory board to advise us. But still, we have about probably 60 years of experience in the IT business here with all these folks. I hope I don't count for half of this. But, so, what's the pain point we try to address here? The pain point is Twitter, and the way you use Twitter, whatever the Twitter client you're going to use. Usually, when you go into Twitter, here is it's only Seismic here that we are using. You get tons of URL, which usually are shortened on a given topic. So whether it's from a single guy, whether it's coming from a hashtag for the example we have here, so Southwest Nantes. And let's say you want to know what has been published on the web. You know the stuff that still exists and where people write things and publish a page and which makes sense and which may be interesting on top of Twitter. And how can you get hands on all these pages? How can you get a good idea of how it works? Well, we try to see what the competition is doing, if there is any competition. So if you go on Twitter, for example, Twitter website, you can indeed search SWNA. You can have a result. That's all. You won't have the URLs. You will have to go one by one on each of the tweets to get the URL. So there is no available solution to get the URLs connected to a discussion, to a topic, to a hashtag. So what's the user need? We need to have access to the web pages connected to a search from Twitter. This needs to be URLs with expansion, so you can read the text of the URL, so you can guess what the website is. It needs to be sorted by date. You know why? Let's say a couple of you guys are bloggers, and they come back home, and they want to blog about this event. They would like to know what has been said already on this event. So you want to know which URL has been published on this event after the event, not before. Because usually you've got tons of websites talking about the event before it happens, but then you have fewer people usually who talk about the event. So, sorted by date. Then it has to be debugged. Then it has to be previewable. Then it has to have a URL code. How many URLs do we have? Well, we have a demo. It works. It's live. So Quentin is going to show us. Oh no, it's Alexandre? Okay. So Alexandre is going to show us what we have been developing, well, let's say this night and this morning. And we actually have a live solution. So it's called tweetoweb.com. It works, it's live. And we're going to start with Southwest Nantes. So you just have to click, and you can have all the links here, sorted by last hour, between 1 and 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, and then days, and so on. And Alexandre can click on one of these links, maybe one that opens quickly. Okay, and there we have the preview. It works. Simple. So now we're going to talk about the architecture, because there's a product behind this. There's a very complicated architecture, a couple years of R&D. We are worked jointly with INRIA, and you're going to see what's the real architecture behind the product. Let's go back on the slides, and you're going to explain that.
Okay, we have a very powerful architecture that's called jQuery. We have 66 lines of code, and it works. And the major point is we can handle big request flow, because all of this is client-side, and we do nothing. We don't have to cost money. We just spend a domain name, and it's enough.
Great.
You saw you have an email from the company, so it works. Then, how about the brand itself? So we made a check. So if you take Tweetoweb, Google says there's nothing. So we even don't need to go to EP and check if there's a trademark registered. It's already available, so there's no problem. Even, I mean, the domain name was registered, so there's no problem here. Let's talk about marketing. Well, our marketing plan is based on buzz. So, but all the buzz you can imagine. I mean, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. What is startupers.fr?
Startupers.fr is the social network for entrepreneurs in France. So every one of you has got an invitation code from the organizer of Startup Weekend Nantes. That's the hashtag SWNA, and that's all. Go and register.
But probably we would need to do more work, because usually you need to have a real marketing plan to be successful in any startup company, so buzz is not enough usually. Let's talk about business models. Actually, our first business model is a very innovative one. When did we invent this? This morning? Yeah, was it? This morning? Yeah, this morning. We thought about Seismic. You know Seismic? Everybody knows Seismic? Loïc, are you live here? Well, we found that this is a simple idea. You see 66 lines of code. So what if we would just give the idea to a company who has no business model, but which was able to raise a lot of money? I mean, it just raised a couple billion dollars. So they have the fund, they have the money, they have the developers. So let's give them the idea. That's one option. So I tried this morning. I sent an email to Loïc, basically. So I'm just waiting for the answer. We are Sunday, he's doing his jogging in the morning in San Francisco, so he's maybe not ready available. So, sorry? Windsurfing. Windsurfing as well? Okay, he's jogging usually in the morning, so he's not available yet. We have a couple of other ones, Twitter Deck, Twitterific. There are a lot of companies doing Twitter client. So why all these companies who are doing Twitter clients for a couple of years have not done this feature? It's a very simple one. Well, there are other options, and Quentin is going to talk about this.
Yeah, we can have a freemium model, because when you have a Twitter search, you can't record this. And if you want to explore the web with the Twitter hashtag, you can't do this if few days passed. So you can have a freemium system with pay for all the database of Twitter.com.
But we can go further now. What if this was more than a feature? Because that's just a feature. We need something that's better. Usually a startup doesn't work with just a feature. You need a product, you need a platform, you need a vision. So we have a vision, actually. Our vision is to make RSS cooler thanks to Twitter. Usually you have RSS client on one side, like Google Reader, and you have Twitter clients on the other side. But how if those two things were melted together, bringing more value for the end user? So the idea is to have a real product, which would be a kind of a social RSS reader, able to get all the tweets that you subscribe to, extract all the URLs, sort it like in an RSS reader, but instead of having a flux coming from a website, you would have URLs coming from your contacts, your hashtags, your keywords, and then you would have a real social RSS reader, and you would have a way to browse through all the links and say you read them, you want to send them. You could even pack some blocks of URLs and send them to somebody when it's on an interesting topic. So that would be a real change in those dying RSS reader that we see today. RSS is dying. Robert Scoble said it was dying, but thanks to these social tools, RSS reader could be getting through a kind of revival. So that's the vision, and it's just the starting of a new story. Loïc, can you hear us? Yeah, we're here. So thank you for your attention, and now I hope the jury has done its job.